Welcome to the Mapping Out Your UCEAP application webinar for the Virtual Study Abroad Fair. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can put them in the Zoom chat, and then we can regroup at the end of the presentation and address any questions that you guys have. But feel free to put it in the chat during the presentation so we can have a record of it. We're also recording this presentation, and then it can be posted to the UCEAP YouTube channel after this too. But we'll get started here. So here's a brief agenda of what we're going to be going over. We're going to go over some UCEAP application general information that applies to all programs, information about the documents you'll need to upload in your application, an overview of the UC application process, and then some frequently asked questions, and then who to contact and where to find their contact information if you have questions about your application.
Okay, perfect. So some general information. Applications for each term are open on the same day. So spring 2026 applications opened April 15th. The summer, fall, and year applications will open mid-November. And then the applications deadlines, they do vary by program. So the deadline isn't the same for every single program. We'll show you the application deadlines page towards the end of this presentation so you can better understand it. Our programs are open for applications until filled or until the application deadline, whichever comes first. UCEAP reviews applications on a first-come, first basis, so submitting an application earlier always gives you a better chance at receiving a spot in the program. As long as there's space available and you meet all the program eligibility requirements and deadlines, you should be cleared to participate. Sorry. Then most requirements must be met by the time you apply and must be maintained throughout the application process. And here we have a few images to help you better understand the page. To determine eligibility for a program, you'll need to find the program page on the UCEAP website. You can do this by navigating to find the program search tool in the upper right-hand corner of the main page. Each program will list its general eligibility and requirements on the title page, as you see in the first image. You will see the minimum GPA, class standing, and the languages that it's taught in if you require to have one of those languages. If you want more detailed eligibility requirements, you need to click on the program, and then we'll move on to the second image where it says dates and eligibility. Once you click that, it'll send you to the third image where you see class level minimum GPA, prerequisites. So they'll also show you any restrictions on course majors. So it's something to take a look at to better prepare for the program that you're going to be applying to.
All right, thanks, Claudia. Here's a kind of an overview of the documents that you'll need for your application. All UCEAP programs require students to upload an unofficial UC transcript to their application. If you're a transfer student or you have any community college transcripts, you will need to upload those as well to your application. Some programs have additional application materials that are required, such as proof of meeting a language requirement, a statement of purpose, or a course preference form. Each program has its own application instructions that you can access through the UCEAP application portal, which is usually just referred to as the UCEAP portal. So this is a sample of what you'll see in the UCEAP application portal when you're choosing the program that you're applying to. Once you've chosen your program, you'll see these application instructions and requirements on the first tab of your application. And so you'll see a detailed list of the instructions and requirements and advisories for the program. Make sure that you read everything in this section before moving on to complete the rest of the applications. You have a full understanding of what the requirements are, what you're uploading, and then any advisories about your passport, such as this screenshot here that says, be advised for the students going to Chile for the fall.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to cover a little bit about unofficial UC transcripts. You're able to obtain an unofficial transcript by visiting your UC registrar's website. At some UCs, you can request an unofficial transcript, and at others, you can download a PDF of your student record or your academic summary. Regardless of how you obtain your unofficial transcript, the transcript needs to include your full name, your UC campus, cumulative UC GPA, and your most recent grade. A note for our Irvine and Merced students, sometimes the UCI and UCM registrar doesn't include your UC campus name on your unofficial transcript. Make sure when you save a PDF that the name of your school or the URL in which the PDF is coming from and your name is visible somewhere in your transcript for Irvine students and Merced students. Okay, and then important notes about your transcripts. Please upload your transcript as a PDF. It's the easiest way for UCAP staff to view your document. In most cases, a screenshot of your grades or academic summary is not acceptable. Sometimes students look up the wrong document and end up submitting a degree audit report or an academic progress report instead of a transcript. These documents might show your progress towards your degree requirements, but they are not the same as a transcript, and UCAP cannot accept them. UCAP needs your full transcript in one continuous document, not just the first page and not in multiple separate uploads. Please make sure to upload your full, complete, unofficial transcript to your UCAP application. It's very important your application is submitted on time, but is not incomplete. You may not be, your application may not be reviewed as quickly.
All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about passport information. UCEAP applicants are not required to have a passport at the time of their application. However, if you don't have a valid passport now, you need to apply for one ASAP. Typically, your passport, depending on the program, but typically your passport needs to be valid at least 6 months after the end of your program. So if you need to renew your passport, you should get started on that as soon as you can. If you're applying right before the application deadline for a program and you don't have a valid passport, check in with the program specialist to confirm that you will be still on track to participate in the program. And later we'll show you how to find the program specialist contact information. In general, once you select a program and confirm that you meet the eligibility requirements, look at the application open dates and deadlines so that you know when you need to apply. Keep in mind that application deadlines can be early as 9 months before the program starts. So for example, for the spring 2026 programs, they just opened last week, and some have deadlines that are in June. Students generally need to complete 3 applications: a UCEAP application, a campus application, and a host institution application. After you get approved for participation by both your campus and UCEAP, you will receive instructions for the host institution application, along with other program details such as housing, visa, and program dates. This is a brief overview of how your application moves through the UCEAP system. You can understand the terminology that's used on your application when you view it in the portal. Once you submit your application, it will be shown as in review, and then your campus and UCEAP staff will then review it and approve your application. After you've been approved by both your campus and UCEAP, you'll become nominated. Depending on the program, your application will then need to be reviewed by the third-party provider or host university for your program. And so then a second application may be required during this step. If a second application is required, UCEAP staff will provide detailed instructions on how to apply and then what documents you might need to submit. After the third party or host university has reviewed your application, you are officially accepted into the program. It's very rare that UCEAP students are rejected from a third party or host institution. We base our program's eligibility off what the host university requires. So as long as you follow the instructions and submit a complete and correct host application by the deadline, there's a very good chance you'll be officially accepted into the program. And then lastly, some programs don't require a third party or host application to review, in which case you'll just be accepted after UCEAP nominates you. All right, really quickly, I'm going to get away from this presentation and go to the UCEAP application deadlines page. You guys see that okay? Okay. So this page lists all of our UCEAP programs based by country in alphabetical order. And right now, because spring and winter applications are open, these are the first ones at the top. But if you are looking to apply to a fall, summer, or year-long program for next year, the 2026 27 application information will be here eventually. But for now, you can see that all the programs for spring and winter are listed. And you can see the open date, which they all opened on the 15th, and then the deadline for the program. And so any programs marked with an asterisk filled before the deadline last year, which means they can be competitive. So submitting an earlier application is always better. And you'll notice that some programs are already full. So these two programs in Australia are full. And then if you scroll down, you can see more. So the STEM Research in Osaka program is also full. In general, though, this asterisk, it can mean that the program is competitive, but also sometimes it doesn't fill before the deadline. But for all programs, if applications are open until the application deadline or until it fills. So even if a program doesn't have an asterisk here, it could fill before the deadline. In which case, if you submitted it later and weren't in the first applications that you reviewed and didn't receive a spot, you'll receive an email from the program specialist saying that you didn't receive a spot. And then they'll provide some other options that you can look into to apply to a different program.
Okay, and if you're confused about an application or your eligibility, here's who you should contact. Please contact UCAP staff for any UCAP specific application require questions, like if you need a foreign language for the program, if you meet the GPA requirements or major eligibility, and any course prerequisites. Also contact UCAP staff for any UCAP application portal IT issues. So if you're having any problems with our portal, please contact us directly. Contact your campus study abroad office with questions about UC Campus requirements, UC Campus portal and their systems, and your academic planning form if your campus requires it. The next slide will show you where you can find this contact information. You can find this contact information for both UCAP and the UC Campus staff on the About UCAP page under the Discover tab at the top left. So in this image, you can see at the top part in blue is Discover. You'll click on About UCAP. You'll have access to UCAP contacts and UC Campus contacts. If you don't know who to contact about your specific question, you can always email the UCEAP Study Abroad Advisor for your program, and they can either answer your questions or redirect you to someone who can. Our contacts page, you can filter the contacts by who is in charge of which or who manages each of the country portfolios. So you'll have a good resource here in the contact page. And then here are some of our frequently asked questions that we receive. When will I hear back about my application? UCAP tries to notify students within a month of their application submission. However, sometimes it might take a little bit longer, but keep an eye on your email in case your application was incomplete and you need to correct something. And what if you change your mind after you submit your application? You should contact your UCAP Study Abroad Advisor and Program Specialist to discuss withdrawing your application or transferring your application to a different program. Please keep in mind that UCAP staff can only transfer applications to programs that are still accepting applications. If the program you wish to transfer to has already filled or the deadline has passed, UCAP can't transfer your application there. Can I apply to multiple programs? Our students are only allowed to apply to one program per term. So please do your research to make sure the program you're applying to fits your needs and your study abroad goals. Can I apply to programs in a back-to-back terms? You would need to check with the program specialist if you're interested in participating in back-to-back programs. The logistics of this depends on the two programs you're interested in and cannot always be accommodated. And then finally, does UCAP have an application fee? No, UCAP does not have an application fee. However, some campuses may have a fee associated with applying to study abroad. So you would need to check with your own UC campus. And then when we send out the slides, you will have access to this link for the YouTube video. Um, it's just a technical walkthrough of the UCAP application portal. So we'll have that link and I will also send it through the chat right now.
All right, these are some resources towards the end of this presentation that can help you figure out what program you want to apply to and other things. So you're welcome to visit the UCEAP YouTube channel to access our catalog of helpful videos like this one. And we're also offering the Exploring Your Identity Abroad series with webinars throughout the year in collaboration with other UC Campus Study Abroad offices. So these webinars can range from talking about LGBTQ students abroad, women abroad, disability abroad, stuff like that. And then lastly, the link there is to access the contact information for UCEAP program teams and campus study abroad offices. If you have questions, it was the same link that we were talking about earlier. All right. The last part. So hopefully this presentation was helpful. You can scan the QR code to visit the next steps and the UCE website for more study abroad resources and information. You can also see that our general email there, info@uceap.universityofcalifornia.edu. And you can email that email with any questions. And if you have a program specific question or multiple questions about multiple different programs, you can email that email and then it gets sent to the corresponding study abroad advisor or program specialist for the program you're interested in. We also offer a lot of virtual advising where you can schedule an appointment to have an online call with the UCEAP advisor to talk about your program or our programs in more detail. Go to our website to find the links to that. And we also have drop-in hours too if you don't want an individual appointment.